Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to talk about BTS's live performance at the Mnet Asian Music Awards 2019, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of the stages, the hints they may be hiding about the comeback, and what ATEEZ performance has to do with all of that. Now, this year's Mama performance is called Map of the Soul Journey to Myself. And right off the bat, this title should clue you in on the concept they are going for here. The performance, as well as the Map of the Soul as a whole, is focused on a journey to self-discovery and self-improvement. On the idea, that is, that in order to become well-balanced individuals, we have to overcome our fears and make the effort to know and accept ourselves. The performance is divided into 3 segments: future meets past calling, past meets present world, and present meets future eternal journey. If you look closely, time has a central role here, and with reason. The journey they are talking about is ongoing and never-ending, so they are presenting time as a cycle that constantly repeats, as a way to show that every step of this journey has meaning and is connected to the others. In the context of the upcoming comeback, this concept once again hints at the idea that we're going back in time, but also that past, present, and future are relative when it comes to our inner journey. Today's present is yesterday's future and tomorrow's past. So we are constantly living in multiple timelines that affect the others according to our level of self-awareness. Future meets past calling begins with a shot from outer space, followed by a series of images that show us an hourglass, 7 mannequins, an eye, the world, and a clock going backwards. Here we are going back to the beginning of time, to the moment where our consciousness was yet to arrive on Earth and was part of the universe as a whole. If we go back and take a look at the Melon Music Awards performance, on RM's blackboard we see a quote from Carl Jung that foreshadows this as well. In that sentence, Jung said that dreams are small doors to the soul, but also that this soul is eternal, because it existed in the cosmos long before it became part of us and will continue to exist afterwards. When the meteor crashes on Earth and the boys appear on stage, we see the moment where their souls actually arrive. This is the beginning of the eternal journey of the soul, and in the case of BTS, this journey begins with a calling. Now, calling may very well be the title of their next title track, but in this context, it's also meant to represent the calling that led the boys to start this journey in the past and continue it in the future. A calling is a dream, a vocation, the point where future meets past. And for BTS, their calling is to bring change with music, to bring a revolution, which is an idea that both Know and We Are Bulletproof perfectly convey. In past meets present world, the journey continues by showing us where their calling actually led them, which is to us, the world. In the VCR, the focus is on the boys coming to terms with fear and on the importance to overcome it in order to turn your dreams into a reality. This is an important part of the journey and possibly the most difficult one. Overcoming fear implies to take control of your life and continue the journey despite the hardships that come your way. And this is extremely difficult, but also worth it on the long run. At the end of the VCR, RM says that now it's time to see the world. Then we see Jungkook winking at the camera and Boy With Love begins. This implies that now we're seeing the world through their eyes. And since the world is army to them, the world is full of love. Like microcosmos implies, the little universes that we have inside of us are all connected to each other because they come from the same place. This means that we are all connected, and love is what BTS uses to connect with us. At this point of the performance, a lot of people noticed that the Boy With Love stage ended like the red carpet performance they had at the Mama 2014. This is a wonderful way to show how past actually meets present, but I also think that another aspect to take into account is how similar ATEEZ's performance was in comparison to the one BTS had in 2014. In 2014, BTS had a collaboration with Block B and performed covers as well as their own songs. In 2019, ATEEZ collabed with ONEUS and did the exact same thing. We have both groups wearing white, Jimin and Mingi quenching the thirsty, and both groups were at similar stages of their career at the time of their respective performances. Plus, the background during Blood, Sweat and Tears recalls the one BTS having We Are Bulletproof, and in turn, the stairs we see in Microcosmos are very similar to the ones we see in Wonderland. This is the perfect representation of the past meeting the present. With ATEEZ, we see a new cycle beginning, and while BTS perform songs from the past, in the present they hit different because they have a different role. Now they are mentors, and while BTS is on their journey and ATEEZ is on theirs, they both started from the same calling. This shows us how universal the journey BTS is talking about actually is, because all of us is going through it at the same time, even if we are at different stages. This leads us to part 3, Present meets Future Eternal Journey. Here, the VCR shows us a series of images that connect the boys with each other and through time. And this idea is also confirmed by what RM says in the video. Namjoon here tells us that the past, the present and the future eventually exist in us, and that the 7 years BTS have been together always exist within themselves. This connects us back to what I said earlier about our soul being part of the universe. Since all of us is eternal and connected to one another, past, present and future eventually merge together within us, because time is relative if your soul is immortal. In the VCR, we see a silhouette of a man running. That's the soul going on its journey. It's us going through life. But later on, we see 7 of them becoming part of the same individual. Just like the beginning of the performance showed us the boys coming from the stars and dividing into 7 people, here we see their souls merging back together like they were at the beginning. This is the eternal journey they are talking about here. It's us arriving, living, loving, dying and then living again. Separated but together because we are one and the same. In the context of the comeback, this VCR also gave us some clues that are as interesting as they are obscure. During the video, we see imagery that strongly recalls Blood, Sweat and Tears. We see the veil that covers them and the spheres that contains them. And in the video, some of the members are associated with objects that we see in the Wings era. Jin, for instance, is holding the opera glasses that he and J-Hope had in Blood, Sweat and Tears. Jimin as the Polaroid and J-Hope as the frame. JK holding the camera may or may not be a reference to Jin recording events on his camera, but all in all, these are all objects that we saw before, and if we consider that Suga is holding the hourglass, these clues hint at the fact that we are going back to that time. With RM and V, however, things start to get tricky. RM is holding a microphone and V is playing a violin. And even if we saw the mic in Airplane Part 2, in the context of the storyline, these 2 symbols are entirely new. To me, this is a clue that even if we are going back in time, a new storyline will take place. But how does it connect to the shadow concept? Well, let's find out. In my theory video about the Melon Music Awards performance, I said that V and RM's solos had imagery that connected them to Jung's idea of extraversion and introversion, which are 2 opposing personality traits that in Jung are respectively symbolized by the Apollo and Dionysus archetype. In that case, V represented Apollo and extraversion, while RM symbolized Dionysus and introversion. This fits the imagery of this VCR as well, because Apollo is the god of the sun but also the god of music, and V is playing an instrument that we never saw before. RM instead has a microphone that looks like the Tirsus of Dionysus. Just like the Tirsus is the symbol of Dionysus' power, the mic is the symbol of RM's. So this makes me think that in the next comeback, the 2 of them will play opposing roles. If you look closely, except for Yoongi, all the other members have objects associated with sight. We have the camera, the Polaroid, the glasses and the frame. And these are all symbols of things that we either look at or use to see better. While the others observe, V and RM are there to be observed, and Yoongi, that represents time, is the symbol of this shift in the narrative. At the Melon Music Awards, the performance showed us that a battle was about to take place. And if we consider the Apollo and Dionysus archetypes, this could confirm that in the next comeback, the awakening of the shadow will cause an inner conflict that is symbolized by the members playing different parts of ourselves. For now, it's very difficult to say if I'm right or not. But one thing that's for sure is that the shadow is coming, and Dionysus is the one who is unleashing it. During the performance, the Dionysus stage is introduced by constellation that had the shape of a panther, a dolphin, a lion, a tiger, a bull, a goat, and a cup. These are all symbols of Dionysus. The panther, the goat, the tiger, and the bull are sacred animals of the god. The cup is a symbol of him being the god of wine, while the dolphin and the lion are animals featured in the myth of Dionysus' journey around the world. In the myth, Dionysus shapeshifts into a lion when a group of pirates captures him, and when the men try to escape his wrath, he transforms them into dolphins. These are all symbols of power and transformation, and here they are used to foreshadow the arrival of the god on stage. When Dionysus finally begins, we see a giant snake. And this is important because the snake not only is another symbol of Dionysus, but it's also a symbol that Jung connects with the shadow. In the Red Book, Jung says that the serpent is the essence of a man of which he is not conscious, which basically means that it represents the part of a man that is repressed and is not aware of. During Dionysus, the BTS logo is completely surrounded by the snake, which means that the shadow is finally taking over. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!